This is RT International with you 24 hours a day, live from our studio centre here in Moscow, where it's just turned 2 a.m. and midnight in Kiev, where we're seeing the deadliest wave of violence since the protests began, with clashes coming just a day after the government's amnesty for protesters coming into force. Well, joining me in the studio is RT's Irina Galushko, who will explain the background to this sudden surge of violence. She'll be talking about that shortly. But first, let's cross live now to our correspondent, Alexei Yaroshevsky, who is in Kiev. So, Alexei, tell us, where are you and what are you seeing right now?
Well, I'm right now literally maybe 50 meters from this wall of fire, which is separating the Independence Square and the police line, which is just literally like maybe 50 meters away from the wall of fire. It is very tense still. We do not see any direct attempts by the police to storm the protesters' barricade. At the same time, there's a whole lot of different projectiles being fired by the protesters, by the rioters towards the police. That includes the rocks, the parts of pavement, the Molotov cocktails, flashbangs, and all different sorts of different projectiles. It is still very much unpredictable because over the past several hours, the police have been trying to literally push the protesters back into the square. They dismantled several barricades which have been there for more than 2 months already. And it's an unpredictable situation, a very explosive one, a powder keg, because right now everyone is on full alert here, expecting the police to storm the barricades once again. I have managed actually to go down there at the wall of fire, at the closest that basically it is safe to go to the whole standoff here in Independence Square in Kiev. And I filed this report just a short while ago. Have a look at that.
Just when everyone thought things were going to a calm in Kiev, it is on fire again. The police are just behind this fire barricade, and they're moving in on the protesters. We can hear flashbangs exploded all the time. Rocks and Molotov cocktails are thrown at the police all the time. This is the pile of rocks, which is the protesters preparing to hurl at the police. Pretty much the scene which we have been seeing over the past several months, just a few meters from here at the governmental quarter. The governmental quarter itself is totally blocked right now. You can't get in because it's cordoned off by the police. They are storming the Independence Square, the famous Maidan, from that side and from that side as well. They're pretty much all over the place. They already had reports of at least 9 people dead, and we can see injured being carried all the time. Also reports of 3 policemen, according to the Interior Ministry, who have died in the latest wave of violence. This new mayhem started after the opposition organized the so-called peaceful march to the parliament, and after that things went violent. It's still unclear who initiated those riots, but this has been pretty much the scene of Kiev on Tuesday. Explosions, fire, total mayhem. The whole city is cordoned off. Now the government of Ukraine has imposed a curfew that no cars can get inside the city by after midnight, which is already here. And we're also expecting something to come out of the emergency talks between the president and the opposition. The biggest question is whether the people here will actually listen, because the government is saying that they're not giving any orders to disperse the Independence Square. And so far, to be frank, we haven't seen major violence coming from the police over the past several hours when they moved in to the square to reportedly disperse it. But right now it's very, very loud. The barricades have been dismantled just over there. The barricades which have been here for more than 2 months. Another barricade on that side over there has also been dismantled. So nobody knows where it's going to go. It's pretty much a monkey with a grenade situation.
RT's Alexei Yaroshevsky reporting there, and we'll be hearing from him throughout the night from Kiev. And in this video, we can show you just what methods are being used against the authorities. Here you can see clearly camouflaged men with real guns. And over the last 24 hours, police have been attacked by showers of Molotov cocktails and rocks. And this is how protesters were trying to ram into a cordon with a truck. And also we can see an armoured vehicle engaged in fierce fighting and being set alight by Molotov cocktails. Now, the fighting has been improvised amongst the barricades near European Square in the city centre. And the indications are that the violence is escalating, with reports now 11 rioters and 7 police have now been reported killed. Well, as Ukraine's capital is paralysed by deadly unrest, EU officials are stepping forward to condemn the violence. Catherine Ashton, the bloc's foreign minister, said that she's deeply concerned by the situation, while her German counterpart has urged all sides to resume peaceful negotiations. Well, that as the EU moves closer to hitting the Ukrainian government with sanctions. RT's Ghana Chichikan, she joins me live now for more on the international reaction. Ghana, it seems that Western politicians seem to have been taken aback by this sudden escalation in violence. Tell us more about their reaction.
Well, here in Washington, from their podiums, administration officials say it's up to the Ukrainians to decide their future. But the work that they do behind the scene does not look like they want to leave it to the Ukrainians to decide. Moreover, it seems Washington doesn't even want to leave it to the opposition to decide on its future. In the leaked conversation between U.S. Assistant Secretary of State and the U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, they were talking about who of the opposition leaders should be in the government and who should not. Here's a bit of that conversation.
Yeah, Klitschko piece is obviously the complicated electron here, especially the announcement of him as deputy prime minister. And you've seen some of my notes on the troubles in the marriage right now. So we're trying to get a read really fast on where he is on this stuff. I'm glad you sort of put him on the spot on where he fits in this scenario.
So I don't think Klitsch should go into the government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea.
In terms of him not going into the government, just let him sort of stay out and do his political homework and stuff.
I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's the guy, you know, what he needs is Klitsch and Tony Book on the outside. He needs to be talking to them 4 times.
Well, the context of the conversation suggests that they're talking about managing Ukraine's opposition leaders, sort of handling them and moving fast before these leaders figure out on their own what to do. And the opposition leaders have certainly been looking to the West for support, and not just Washington. 2 opposition leaders, Arseniy Yatsenyuk and Vitaly Klitschko, just got back from Germany, where they met with the German leader, Angela Merkel. And these kinds of meetings, of course, bolstered the opposition's profile. And in a chaotic environment, many things become possible. Opposition leaders know that. And at the moment, it may not be in their interest to try and lower the temperature, the violence on the streets of Kiev.
Ghana, thanks very much indeed for that live update from our studios there in Washington. Well, earlier, World Affairs